39 years of one of the most iconic silhouettes in sneakers. We're talking about the Air Force One, and right here we've got a look at a craft, and I'll quickly give you a look at the Mantra Orange, which was a great craft sneaker, and as far as I'm concerned, that's the standard that this today's sneaker has to live up to, and we're going with the Galactic Jade for this sneaker, and I've got a whole big thing about the name of it and why there's one tiny little detail, small little thing about the name of this shoe that just doesn't sit right with me. But that aside, you know, a rose by any other name and all that Shakespeare jazz, that aside, it doesn't matter what it's called. It's an absolutely fire sneaker. Anything from the craft line is premium, it's sleek, it's very, very cool. It's the classic silhouette on steroids, pumped up and absolutely beautiful. And then when you get a sneaker like today where everything just lines up real nice, it's hard to say no. And we're going to have a look at that sneaker, go through it bit by bit, and also talk about what it is about the name that just doesn't sit right with me as we take a look at the upcoming release of the Nike Air Force One Craft Galactic Jade. This is the Tokyo Bada 23 Sneaker Channel. Tokyo Bada 23 Sneaker Channel days.毎日アップするので、毎日見てください. Every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring you content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news, and sneaker reviews. And today in the spotlight is the upcoming March 1st Nike Air Force One Craft Galactic Jade. And this first sneaker is coming out in March that I'm doing for the channel. So we're stepping it forward a month. Now this today is, I think it's the 19th of February. So this video probably goes up on the 21st, which means it's about 10 days in advance of the drop date, which is where I just love to be. Absolutely love to be right there 10 days before the drop date, telling you guys what's coming around the corner and taking you through all the little hits on it so you know exactly what you're getting your hands on and why this shoe is a shoe that you just definitely have to get some money out your pocket, put it on the counter and grab yourself a pair. Absolutely beautiful. But we'll get into that thing about the name first and foremost. I was talking about why for me Galactic Jade just doesn't sit right, and I'll find, you know what I could do? I could find the Kyrie 7. Let's bring up a Kyrie 7 Chinese New Year, which I talked about yesterday. Chinese New Year, major element of Chinese fashion, design, ornaments, jewelry, through thousands of years, literally, is the jade colorway. And what I'm talking about on these Kyrie 7s is on that mid-foot in the midsole area. You can see that sort of light colored green. That's jade. And you come back to today's shoe, that's not jade. Even if you call it Galactic Jade, I don't think that's going to cut any ice with anybody because this is a green shoe, it's not a jade shoe. So I have no idea, none whatsoever, why they've gone with that particular name for the shoe. Might be because of Chinese New Year and they want something from the jade world to tie it up with the shoe so they can push that Chinese feel. But there's plenty of actual Chinese New Year sneakers out there, so I wouldn't have thought they need to do that. They're plush green, blue on green, midnight, I think they call it midnight blue is the second color on this. Midnight blue, green, I don't know, grass green, whatever, but just, I don't know where they're getting this Galactic Jade from, but that's my perspective. Maybe you know more than me, and you'll tell me in the comments down below what your perspective is or what you already know about this shoe. But other than that, and it doesn't matter what it's called, it could be called ugly shoe. It doesn't matter what it's called because that's not important. What's important is what it looks like, because nobody looks at it and goes, you know, oh, that's a beautiful shoe, but I don't like the name, so I don't think it's very cool. It's what it is, the thing it is, not what you call it, not the name attached to it that makes it what it is. And what this is stunning. It's absolutely stunning. I'll bring back those Mantra Oranges, which I think are the standard for the craft line. So you're talking about the standard silhouette, the Air Force One silhouette, 39 years. Can't wait for tomorrow for next year when it's the 40th anniversary. It's going to be amazing. But then you're taking that standard silhouette and you're pumping it up with luxe materials. And that Mantra Orange for me is the benchmark. And then back to today's shoe, these Galactic Jades, to see where that stands in line with that shoe. So 2 bits of material, then 4 hits of branding. Let's get into it. So first things first, the material. Great place to look at that is down on the toe, where you'll get a sense of just how well placed the tumbled leather is on these shoes. Tumbled leather can sometimes be quite vibrant, I think we can say, and other times it can be quite reserved. But when it comes to these crafts from the Air Force One line, they pitch it just right. It's not overdone, it's not underdone. It's exactly where you want it to be sleek and to be cool, but also to be hype and very, very premium. So it's just the tumbled leather on this throughout that whole the green, the entire green upper section of this shoe is all about that tumbled leather and beautiful sweet, clean, smooth luxe leathers. And then you come back from that along to the midfoot and you get to the lateral side swoosh and the medial side swoosh. Doesn't matter which side you look at, it's exactly the same on both sides, whereas those Kyrie 7s that we talked about yesterday, like I said already, when it came to their swooshes, different on the lateral and the medial side. For these guys, exactly the same. Premium materials means we're going with suede on these guys, but it's a deep blue. Now, generally speaking, I wouldn't appreciate this color swoosh on that color upper. Generally speaking, it would be a bit too close for me. You needed something on there to make the swoosh stand out a bit. But because of the luxe and the contrast of the materials, tumbled leather and then the swoosh in suede, I'm kind of still okay with it, and suede will fade to a lighter colour. That's what naturally happens to suede, and these will fade to a lighter colour fairly quickly, and then I think you'll have enough contrast between the swoosh and the upper for it to work. So the material works for me, the way the material looks, but also the way it will fade over time. It works for me, but it's an absolutely beautiful combination of materials, and they're the two main materials on the shoe. But then I said 4 points of branding, and actually those 4 points of branding can be split into 2 and 2. And what I'm talking about is on the Dubré and on the heel you have a swoosh and AF1, and on the tongues and on the insole you have a swoosh and Air Force 1. So we'll have a look at those two, and we'll start with those tongues and those insoles. So going up to the top, always been critical in my channel and talked about how I don't like the standard Air Force 1 branding up there that says Nike Air Force 1, and the double Air bugs me, even though I know it makes sense. It's Nike Air and Air Force 1. It still bugs me that it has that double Air there. Totally gone on these shoes, and you can see from here it's a very sleek, kind of cultured piece of branding at the top of the tongue, and it's that swoosh and Air Force with a big 1 down the side of it, and exactly the same branding on the insoles. We travel back a bit from that, and you can see that there. So there's a match in that pair of branding. But then we'll go around to the, I'm not going to go around to the, I'm going to go forward to the Dubré, because the heels for me are just one of my favorite things on the craft line. So down to the Dubré, you can see it's in a deep sort of rich gold texture, and etched into it is a swoosh and AF1 instead of Air Force 1 like up on the tongues, and in the insole it says swoosh AF1 in that deep beautiful gold. And that's exactly the same branding that in a minute, but not quite yet, we'll get to on the heel, because on the heel there's a slight change to your standard structure of the Air Force 1s. Normally on Air Force 1s you have a heel branding panel and that's it, but in the case of these, you can see that there's nothing in that heel branding panel. The shape's there, the space is there, but it's completely blank in that beautiful blue suede. And this is a standard feature on the craft line, is if you drop below that, you can see a little tag there that says swoosh AF1 to match the Dubrés on the front. And there's something about that, it's almost mathematical, that I really appreciate. Front and back on the shoe, swoosh AF1, and then center, middle on the shoe, a swoosh Air Force 1 in those two places. And I just really like the balance of that and the positioning of the branding. Then we get into the midsole outsole unit, and my question for you out there would be, is there a hint of sail in here? I feel like it's not quite white. It's like the creamiest, the whitest, creamiest of cream, but just not quite white. And that's my opinion. Might be wrong. Let me know in the comments down below. But what I do know is the branding on the side, which is something you always look for in Air Force 1s, is whether or not they go with contrast or not. And they've gone with, to complement the midsole, you can see here that that air and the line that runs through the back of the shoe is in the same colour as the midsole itself, as is the outsole. Very occasionally does the Air Force 1 put a different outsole on the midsole unit, and today they haven't done that, matching midsoles and outsoles that look like this, and you can see that full length. I'm saying slightly off-white outsole on these guys. And then back out to look at the whole shoe. I can't tell you how much I love this. I really, really can't. I'm just looking at it. I'm like, absolutely, I'm dying. I'm choking to death. It's such a beautiful shoe. I'm absolutely dead set thinking about getting a pair of these. Hard to get in my size. If I can find them in my size, I might just go for it. I tend to want to buy my shoes at the point of sale from the original owner. I'm not a huge fan of looking at things like StockX. To be honest, I've never bought a pair of shoes on StockX. And so, we're talking drop dates, get them or don't, as far as I'm concerned. And with any luck, it will be a case for my first pair of Air Force 1 craft that I can get my hands on these, because I think these are stunning. I still say the Mantra Oranges as the benchmark, but I think these are stunning and right up there alongside. And that's my take on the video today. Hopefully you guys appreciate that, and hopefully this didn't go slow-mo. when I was sort of prepping the sort of video space for this and making sure that I was in the right spot on the the frame, somehow I hit the slow-mo button, and I was like, oh wow, hopefully I won't shoot an entire video in slow-mo, because that would be weird. So fingers crossed I shot this in the correct pacing and speed, and it looks good for you guys out there, and you're getting a good look at the shoe if nothing else. For now though, time for me to sign off. Thank you guys for checking out the content, and I'll just say that thing I say at the end of every single video, like every single day. I do this every single day, and that means you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.